So I'm here with a layout that was really fun to make. This is just regular white cardstock, and I'm using this stencil by Heidi Swapp. And I'm putting some gloss super heavy gel on there. And this gel was such a good deal because I got it on a inside a Michael's grab bag. I think it was either $2 or $4, and it had some other stuff in there. I can't really quite recall, but it was like notepads, a mini album. There was even like children's socks in there, which turned out to be Elsa socks, and then my daughter loved it, and it fit her, so it was perfect. And then I got this gel. I got some varnish, some slow dry blending medium. It was just one of those times that those grab bags are really full of good stuff. So I'm just putting it here through the stencil with my palette knife. And a tip that I have for you here is, if you use something like this, make sure that you go wash your stencil right away, because this thing will dry pretty hard on your stencil and mess it up. So this particular stencil was kind of hard to clean because all those little pieces of the stencil inside a letter, like the letter G for example, or the letter H, they were very easy to bend. So I found that just taking the stencil to the sink and putting some soap on it and washing it that way was the best. Trying to clean it with wipes didn't work out so well because of those little pieces in the letters. So here I'm just gonna add some watercolor, and this cardstock doesn't have any gesso on it, so it is gonna warp some, not enough to ruin it or anything, but I do have to keep that in mind. If I'm not using gesso on my cardstock, then I have to kind of take it easy on the amount of water that I put on it. So I'm using this like really big brush to spread the watercolor onto my paper, and I'm just using that smaller brush to get it onto this plastic piece. And this is actually just a plastic piece that comes on top of the watercolors, and that's just what I use to mix the watercolors, or because it doesn't have a separate palette area. So I just use this plastic piece, and then when I'm done, I just wipe it up and put it away. So I want some more darker blue color up on top of there, so that it kind of goes from dark to light a little bit. And I don't know, I wasn't sure why I chose those colors when I was making the layout. I just looked at them and thought, okay, this is what I want to do. I had an idea of which photos I wanted to scrap, but it wasn't set in stone. So I just thought, okay, these colors will go well together, and they would look good with like a variety of pictures, right? So I find that my process kind of changes from layout to layout. Sometimes my layouts are driven by a story that I want to tell. Sometimes they're driven by a photo that I want to get scrapped. Sometimes they're product driven, and I just really want to use my, brand new whatever stickers or embellishments, and that's what inspires my layout. Sometimes I start by choosing the pictures. Sometimes I start by choosing the background paper without knowing which pictures I'm gonna scrap. So it's just really fun for me to just go with the flow and do whatever I feel like doing that day. So now I'm just ripping this little piece here, and I've actually let my layout dry overnight. I put it under my craft mat, and then I put some heavy papers on it, and now I'm trying to see what would look good there on that ripped edge. So this was the whole purpose for ripping that piece of it, is so that I could have background paper poking through here. So these papers, the patterned papers that I'm using here, they're from the Dear Lizzie Neapolitan collection, which is a very, very old collection, but I still have some of it. I really liked it, so but I was only able to get like a few like embellishments, like the sticker book, like some chipboard, the stamps, and that was it. But then I went into Michael's one day and I was looking at their stacks, and then I recognized the Dear Lizzie Neapolitan papers on the cover of a stack. So I picked it up, and it was by Recollections, and it was called the Neapolitan Collection. And it had vellum, it had sticker sheets, it had banner like die cut with the string. It was really cool. So of course I bought it, and now I'm still trying to use it up. And this was a really long time ago, but I definitely recommend that you look at those like recollection stacks, because a lot of them are actually from like previous American crafts releases. So now I'm using a lot of tape here just because my paper has buckled a bit, and I'm trying to get it as straight as I can. And I'm just letting a little bit of that mint paper show on the left. And I don't mind that basically the whole piece of paper is covered up, because that pattern was not one of my favorites. I really don't mind using the whole thing just to stiffen up my layout. So now I'm just double checking that I'm 100% sure that I like the colorful stripes. And I got the piece that I tore off, and I'm like double checking that it's gonna be wide enough, that the stripes are gonna be wide enough to cover the whole ripped piece of the layout. I don't normally use this much tape when I'm putting together a layout, but for this particular one, because it's made up of so many different layers for the background, and because of the buckling of that paper in the front, it's important that I use a lot of tape to make sure that it's going to stay together and that it's going to stay, as straight as possible. So now that I got it as straight as I could, I'm gonna put some more tape on the bottom there, on the edges. And what I like about the ATG is that, like, if I put too much tape was sticking out here, so I just rubbed it back a little bit, and it just kind of rubbed into itself. It kind of rolls up into itself, and it's kind of easy to clean up, basically. So I've been scrapping with my ATG for a very, very long time. I've had it for many years, and I love it. I only use other adhesives when I have to glue down something delicate like a doily, or when I need a liquid adhesive. But other than that, for double-sided tapes, I just use my ATG. For other things, like more delicate things, I really, really like the Tombow adhesives. So this background has definitely taken a bit longer than my backgrounds usually take, because I usually like to just use pattern paper. And this were the two photos that I had in mind when I was making it. And so I think I just subconsciously chose that blue color because, there's a lot of blue there on my husband's clothing. And I was not sure at first why I had chosen that blue and that kind of teal color. But now that I see the photos, I know why I chose those colors without even thinking about it. I really believe that sometimes just going with your gut and not thinking too much about stuff is the best way to scrapbook, the fastest way, and the way that you get layouts that you really love. Because I loved the way that that black and white stripe looked on my layout, I'm gonna use it to mat my photos. I really love the look of that tiny bit of stripes peeking through the sides. Now I'm gonna do some layering behind my photo here. And the first thing that I'm going to do is that I pulled out this vellum paper that it's actually part of the Neapolitan collection, but it was included in the Recollections version of the stack there. So I'm just gonna layer that a little bit behind the behind my photo, but I'm going to kind of cut an L shape out of it so that I don't waste too much of it, because I don't need all that vellum that's going to be covered up by the photos anyway. So I'm just cutting a very rough L shape here. And I'm just going to tuck that in on the corner so that it looks like it's a full piece, but it's really not. It's really just two sides. And I really, really love that cloud pattern. I mean, it's just beautiful. As I'm placing it down here, something is just not looking right. And I think because right now the layers are all the same length. So I'm going to try to fix it up so that my vellum is shorter than my photo mat and shorter than the edge of the photos. So I'm going to do that by just cutting a little piece here and pulling it up higher on my layout. And I like that it overlaps that little rib a little bit because you can still see the ribs through the vellum. Now here's a good tip. My photos in my photo mat just came off the layout because of the mixed media in the background. So when you do any kind of mixed media, you're gonna have to use some like really strong tape, kind of like score tape or red line tape. But because I'm still building my layout, I decide to hold off on that until later. Once I know where everything is going, then I'm gonna take some score tape and I'm gonna lift up the corners of my the different pieces of my layout, and then I'm gonna put score tape there. Now there was this really cute piece of like a chocolate brown kind of blackish floral, and I really wanted to get that in there because this whole layout is about her having so much fun playing with dandelions. So since there were so many straight edges on my layout already, I decided to punch this into a scallop. Now I have a lot of punches, but I'm always on the lookout for that perfect little scallop. Like just a tad bit smaller than this one and with no extra holes or anything extra, just a scallop. I haven't found one yet that I like, so I'm still searching. If you have a favorite scallop punch, please let me know in the comments. Let me know like which brand it is so that I can keep an eye out for it next time. Another punch I would really like is a large scallop that is just a scallop, no extra anything, because like you can see this one has those little holes in between each little scallop. I would just like a plain one, a big one, a thick one, and a small one, just plain. I would really like to find one like that. So let me know if you have one, if you have a tip for me on where to find one. I went ahead and cut my border strip, and I left a lot on one side, and the other side is basically just gonna be a tiny bit. And I'm really happy to have that little bit of floral element on there. Now I went and got my Dear Lizzie Neapolitan sticker book, and I'm going through it, and what you can see on the left side of the page there is the stickers that come with the stack, and then on top of that is the sticker book. So I'm just going through both of those to find something to embellish my layout. I decided to go with a theme of like fun and happiness, togetherness. So I'm going to use this big You Make Me Happy sticker because it has all those little picked flowers, which is kind of what my daughter was doing along the trails. Because I still have a lot of the chipboard for this collection, and this is a very old collection, I'm trying to use it up in my layouts. So I'm looking here to see what fits, but the only thing that really fit for this layout was the little banner that says happy. So I was not successful in using up a lot of my chipboard, but I will be trying definitely to use it up. Because I'm using a lot of flat stickers, I'm going to be putting some pop dots in the back of some of my stickers to give them some dimension and lift them up a little bit so that they look a little like chipboard pieces, and that way my layout is not so flat and the layers look a little bit better when there's some more dimension between them. This one's a pretty big sticker, so it took it took quite a few pop dots to get this one ready. So I thought there were so many things that look rectangular and with square corners. I really wanted to bring in something more round. So I decided to use a doily. So I'm going to cut a piece of this doily here. And I struggled a little bit. The ATG works well on your doilies if you place the adhesive only in the middle. So I struggled a little bit here with the placement of the flower sticker because it felt like I was cutting off too much of the doily, so there was no flow or continuity there. It just looked wrong to me. So I tried, putting the doily a little bit differently and placing the sticker on top. And then I realized that it's because I'm not showing as much of the doily as I want to show. So then I decided to put the sticker on top of the doily to see how much I want to show, and then make the layer, make that fit into my layout. So that worked out much better. So yeah, it took me a minute of playing with this to be happy with how much of it was showing, because I really wanted to see the whole most of the edge of the doily so that you could get that idea of something round being there. So now I'm wondering what to do with this happy banner, and I'm wondering what I'm gonna put where that in that space where that little hole is. So these chipboard pieces are not self-adhesive like they are mostly chipboard comes self-adhesive these days. These are not. And then there's also that little hole in it on the banner, which I'm not sure we would find on chipboard today. I'm not sure it would be pierced like that. I'm guessing that back in the day when this collection was released, brads were probably more popular than they are today. So that's probably why there's a hole on there. I'm trying to find a placement for this little Polaroid heart because my daughter's yellow coat is, I think, a big part of the layout. So I think that yellow balances out the photos nicely. I think that's why I also went for the multicolor stripe instead of the black and white stripe for the edge of the layout. I think it brings in the yellow a little bit more and it just makes it more fun. So what do you guys think? Would you guys have gone with the black and white stripe or the multicolor like I did? Let me know in the comments. And because my daughter's 2 years old, I'm sneaking in a lot of number 2s on the layouts that I make about her. So this is just a cut apart from the stack, the little number 2, and I'm just gonna tuck it in here with the banner and a little sticker that has an ampersand on it. And now I have this little border strip from the Chamel Little by Little collection, and it's just a bunch of colorful little cameras, and it was left over from a layout that I did previously, and I just haven't been wanting to throw it away because I knew that I could cut out those little cameras and I could use them for something. I'm gonna put one camera on each of my little clusters here, and although my layout is pretty colorful and it has that little colorful stripe on one side, I need to bring in a little bit more of the blue because my husband's wearing blue and the background is blue. So I'm just gonna look for some more little details like this camera to bring in some blue and maybe a little bit more yellow. So I found these buttons by Chamel. They're from the Go Now Go collection. I really thought I was going to use the buttons from the Little by Little collection, but these actually seem to fit my theme a little better. So it's just a blue and yellow button down there and some mountains up here on top, and right there a button that says go. So I was surprised that this collection actually fit my layout a little better. Now I'm going to bring in some enamel dots and kind of just finish it off. I really like including titles on my layouts. So when I was done with this one, I still felt like something was missing. So stay tuned for the photo at the end because I do add a title. Thank you so much for stopping by today. Hope to see you again next Friday. Have an amazing weekend. Bye!